Well, welcome to the Cardano Sense DC Fund Show. My name is Anthony, and this is the show where we go over about 3 funds per show, or 3 proposals per show that are looking for funding from the Cardano Treasury. We are currently in Fund 4, or we're going over funds for Fund 4. We're in voting for Fund 3, but we're actually going over proposals for Fund 4. This show is brought to you by my website, Cardano Sense. I'll show you it here real quick. This is not a substitute for IdeaScale, which is the website that proposals are created on. It's just another place you can go without having to log in. You can go over to the funds, go to current funds, and go to any one of these funds. You click on it, and then they will kind of all show up. And you click on the fund, and that's how it works. Unfortunately, I can't keep this up to date. I will be able to once voting comes around, but right now I'm trying to do it with all the other work I do. So it's not completely up to date. So if you want to get up to date information, always go to IdeaScale to get the most up to date information. Okay, it's also sponsored by my website, or sorry, my stake pool here, Sophie, the Sophie stake pool. We do pretty good. We're a small pool of 500,000 ADA, a little over 500,000 ADA. We've got 103% rating here. We've made about 89 blocks so far. So if you want to support the show, that's the best way to do it, would be to delegate to my stake pool. All right, let's get down to the business here of the show. So we are currently going over projects for Fund 4, like I said here. So Fund 4 has 7 campaigns on developer ecosystem, adapts and integrations, distributed decision-making, proposer outreach, catalyst value onboarding, local community centers, and a Fund 6 challenge setting. Today, we're going to be going back into one of the big 2, I like to call it. These are 2 that have been going on since the program started. So this is developer ecosystem. So how can we create a positive developer experience that helps the developer focus on building successful apps? So if you can answer that question and you'd like your project to be funded, this is where you would put it. So let's get into the first project, and remember that we are still about 7 or 8 days out of the period where the final proposal has to be put in. So there may be a couple things on these proposals that aren't completely finished. And so if you like any of these proposals, you want to come back and we'll make sure to come back and look at them when they get to the point where everything has to be completely done. So some of these may be not completely done. Okay, so let's take a look at the first proposal here. Okay, the first proposal we'll be looking at is called the Development Journey Documentation. So let's read the problem statement. The current Plutus documentation is not very user-friendly, lacking real case examples, and does not display a journey to Cardano dev ecosystem. So his or her Stas's solution: create a more user-friendly website, add interesting use cases, accept small community project samples from various fields, community question Q&A. His experience: computer science degree, 3+ years in DevOps, software engineering, year in ML ops, AI, 6 months in blockchain, 9 months in blockchain. So it looks like he's done a few things over the last couple of years. So essentially what this is, I've read through this, is he would like to have a program where, let's say you want to learn Plutus, right? So it takes you from beginning to end, and you kind of create something. So in his example here, he says, ideally, need to have segmentation for real use cases. Examples: social, sports, financial, industry, science, health, etc. So he's saying for each one of these industries, maybe have a use case and a small application where you'll go from the beginning to end and complete that application, and the documentation will take you through that whole process. So you're actually completing a small application when you're done with the documentation. I think this is a great idea, to be honest. I think this is a really good idea. A documentation, you know what? Documentation a lot of times is not easy to read. You have to have a certain skill level. I mean, I guess that's kind of given, but even if you kind of know what you're doing, sometimes when you look at documentation, it confuses you even more. I think this is a good idea. I think this is a great idea. have a little, besides like a hello world program, which every all documentation has like a hello world, can't speak today, hello world program. So this would be kind of cool to have something a little more advanced than like a hello world program. It takes you through a whole application and you kind of get a feel for it. I think this is a good idea. Okay, a couple of things that he needs to kind of fix in this application though. He has no kind of roadmap. He says what the costs, he needs costs to pay for a designer, some monthly ongoing costs, and his time and other professionals that may be involved. And he wants $65,000 for this. Now, this may well be worth $65,000, but you can't tell by what he's got written here. So he really needs to come back in here, and he has more time. So hopefully he will, and do this kind of step-by-step in here, a roadmap of when things are going to get done, and also exactly how a budget that shows exactly how he's going to spend the money. I mean, he really says here, as part of what he wants to do with the money, the runway is for 1 year, and by the end of the first quarter, you can definitely expect a functional website with more samples and possibly a well-structured roadmap going forward. So after you pay the $65,000, possibly you'll get a roadmap after the first quarter. And I don't mean to, I'm not making fun of this, but really you need that up front. You need a roadmap up front. You have to tell people where the money is going. So, but I like the idea a lot, and hopefully he'll get back in here and fix this up a little bit before they put a lockdown on the proposals. Okay, let's get to the next proposal. The next proposal here is called, Sensing Developers' Emergent Needs. Now I got to tell you, I'm going to read through this. I'm not sure I even know what this is, to be honest with you. So let's read this here. Maybe some of you can tell me in the comments down below. The problem. Traditional survey approaches provide an incomplete and biased understanding of the complex realities and emergent needs of developers. So I guess it's something about giving surveys to developers, to surveying developers, I'm thinking, right? Okay. An ongoing sense-making process harnessing collective intelligence through quantitative and qualitative data capture and real-time monitoring. So this really seems like something that you help giving better surveys to developers. Okay. Extensive experience implementing SenseMaker projects in the public and private sector. There's no links to anything here. So hopefully before the time's up, he'll put some links to some of his work, because he states his experience, but there's no links to anything he's done, public or private. So now I don't really want to read through this because all right, let's read through a little of it. I just don't want to bore you guys. This is a framework of questions will be formulated by the project team and beta tested by a user group, then reiterated based on feedback in a rapid cycle of 3 to 4 weeks before being released on the SenseMaker data collection platform to a wider audience. The platform will remain open for data capture for a period of 12 weeks, during which the data will be monitored as it streams on the SenseMaker data dashboard to provide real-time monitoring for developers' emerging needs. These emergent insights from the data may be played back to the developer community in a cadence of webinars every 2 weeks or so. At the end of the 12 weeks, the emergent patterns will be fed into a further iterated question framework and released to the ecosystem as an opt-in SenseMaker personal journal, and developers can choose to form segmented user groups to discuss how insights can be leveraged upon. Implementation, and then he just talks about how it'll be a website or something here. I don't understand what this is. I mean, I think I know what it is. It's developing surveys for developers, but how? I guess I'm making the connection between how developing surveys for developers is going to help bring developers onto the Cardano network. I'm not getting the connection. In all seriousness here, if I was to run past this proposal, I would not, as a community advisor, I'd probably pass it by and let someone else go over it, because I don't want to be looking at this from the wrong direction. But I really don't see the connection between bringing developers onto Cardano and building surveys for developers, which is what I think this is. So anyway, he's looking for, or I should probably say the name here. Chris C is looking for, well, he doesn't have how much money he's looking for here, so you'd have to add that too. If you don't have the money on here, by the time the projects are cut off, they just kind of take the project down, because there's no sense in being in the fight for funds if you're not looking for any funds. Okay, let's go on to the next project. Whoops, here. Okay, this next project I know a bit about. Okay, PoolTool-Testnet Support. Samuel, let's go through. First, let's go through this problem statement. Samuel at IOHK has requested that we have a version of PoolTool for the testnet as well as mainnet. Solution, we have spun up the testnet on the main pool platform with limited features and would like to have the fund cover our base expenses. Now, I know what this is because I run a stake pool and I understand what this is, what PoolTool is. But if you're someone coming into that's going to vote on these projects, right? You're not going to have any idea what this is, right? You're not going to know what PoolTool is. You're just from those two statements, you're going to have no clue. So in this situation, the people from PoolTool, who is it? You, I guess, or the team at PoolTool, they really should come in here and explain what this is, what's going on, because like I said, people aren't going to know what this is. I just happen to know because I have a stake pool. Let's read on here. Well, essentially okay, let me explain what this is. So I have a stake pool. The stake pool is on the main net, right? Main network. There's a development network or a test network. And that is, everything's tested on that network, right? Before it comes to the main network. PoolTool, I have it pulled up right here, is this website here, application here. So I'm not going to take you all through it, but essentially, here's my stake pool. So there's my stake pool. So you can look up stake pools, and then you can click on the stake pools, and it gives you a bunch of information about them. Oh, well, you don't have to see my stake pool here, but that's kind of what this is. So in the testnet, they also have stake pools. They're not real stake pools; they're test stake pools. And Samuel, who is one of the guys building Cardano, and one of the people running the testnet, is asked them to do this, make that website for the testnet. So this would be great if the only people seeing this proposal was going to be, are people that are involved in Cardano. But even though they're looking for developer funds, not only are developers going to be looking at this and voting on this project. So, I think they should get it because I know what it is. They're not asking for a lot of money. They're only asking for $1,500. So I think they should definitely get this. But I have a feeling that unless they come in here and kind of explain a little more about what this is, if you just have regular everyday voters voting on this, they're going to look at this and have absolutely no idea what this is, no clue whatsoever. PoolTool? What is it? Something for a swimming pool? And what does that do with Cardano? Seriously, what are people going to think? They're going to have no idea. So hopefully they come in and explain this a little bit better for other people. Cool. All right, let's go on. Let's move on to community chatter, as I call it here. So what's going on in the community today, essentially, is we're having some issues with the voting app. Not voting per se, but there's a bunch of people registered for voting, and they're trying to get their voting app ready to go so they can vote. Voting actually started, I think, 2 days ago, and we're having some issues with that. I'm also having an issue with that. So essentially what we were supposed to do is take the app off our phone and then reinstall and redo the process again to get it to work. Mine's still not working. There's some other people that still aren't working, and that seems to be the big thing people are talking about today, trying to figure out what's working, what's not. And people are also talking about whether they should vote right away, or should they take their time, read through all the proposals. And obviously, probably taking your time and reading through the proposals is a good way to vote if you're voting on proposals, so that you know what you're voting on. But that's pretty much what's going on in the community. Other than that, there's not too much going on today. Happy Monday to everybody, and I guess that'll be it for today's show. So our anti-ending, this is it. Nothing big. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye.